Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone in the room and on Zoom. Happy Tuesday. We're happy you're here. Let's dive into what we have going on this week. So later today at 1:30, we have the MREA Book Club hosted by our very own Jill. And 1:30 in the front conference room, and anyone can join. They only have a couple sessions left. They're almost towards the end of the book. So it's been really good for anyone who's gone to that and popped in. It's great to go through it slowly and talk about each section. So how many do you have left?
I think
Three left. So 1:30 here at the office. And then tomorrow, Ignite starts. So there is a registration link. Austin, where's the registration link?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
You can find it on our website. Actually, you just go straight to our website. It's going to be a pop-up. Looks like that. You can click there, and it'll be the first thing you see.
Awesome. So Ignite. Anyone who has not been through Ignite, anyone who hasn't sold a transaction in a few months, anyone who is in the growing phase of their business, Ignite is for you. We have a bunch of great top agents teaching it. It's Wednesdays and Thursdays for the most part from 9 to 11, and it starts tomorrow. And if you don't register, you can still sign up, but register. We're trying to get breakfasts brought in and hosted by different title companies for different days. So it does help to kind of have a count of how many people are going to show up.
We can all learn from the people on that screen.
I know.
Absolutely.
Right? It's cool too, even if you've been through Ignite, to have different people teach it. You'll learn something different every time.
Yep.
So, and last Ignite series was the first time doing the all new content of Ignite. They really revamped it all. It's a lot more current with, text messaging instead of calling everyone, and just different modes of touching your database, more database focused, less like making cold calls. So it's really relevant to our business.
So far, we've had 17 people respond to it. So
whoa,
went up from yesterday.
awesome. That's
17
great.
people registered. That's great.
Wow. Okay.
even though it says that your night is 9 to 11, that's just when your speakers are there. From either 11 to noon, maybe 1. Sometimes, depending on if we have a CE class, it might be noon to 1, noon to 2. It'll depend on what's in there. We're actually doing the daily activities that you are supposed to be doing that is a part of Ignite. It's called the workshop. So if you come to Ignite, you should be doing the workshop. It gets you into the practice. It shows you everything that you should be doing. We actually implement what you learned and then go forward with it.
Awesome.
Create accountability
Thanks for
partners
having me.
during it. Track your business. We'll do all of that during Ignite.
Yeah, right after it's Ignite. So there's Ignite Learning, which is all the sessions that we showed. And then Ignite Action is what happens later that day about what you learned that day and putting it into action.
It's cool.
Correct practice.
Cool.
So it could be an hour or 2 hours. We changed it up every week. It just kind of went by who's in there and what we did.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tanya.
You're welcome.
And then immediately following Ignite tomorrow, Kelly is going to be teaching the Oregon Realtor forms. So we did the series of like 3 in a row, and Kelly talked about the updates to the OREF forms and the Oregon Realtors forms. And this one is just now talking about the Oregon Realtors forms. So just digging into those.
Yep. I took a class last week from an attorney on staff with Oregon Realtors, and he went over the forms. And so I've got some new insight to it. And he explained some of the things that I had questions about. So looking forward to going through them and answering questions and providing some explanation about some of the quirks in them.
Awesome. And for our commercial brokers, there are commercial forms from Oregon Realtors too, and they're a little bit more customizable than the OREF forms if we need to make tweaks. So check out those if you haven't, because they're free. Tomorrow, in person only, 11 to 1.
Yes.
And do people need to register for that or just show up?
Just show up.
Okay, just show up. And then also tomorrow's a busy day. 2 o'clock, Austin's teaching command.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about blast emails. Actually, I was just talking to Armel about this, about how You can set up your database in Command to send out as many emails as you want all at once, similar to things like MailChimp and whatnot. So I'll show you how that works, how you can create those blast emails. We have things like, obviously there's like tax season coming up, there's Valentine's Day, President's Day. So there's, whether you're doing a holiday update, a monthly newsletter, whatever it is, you can, I'll show you how that all works. So if you have content you want to work on, feel free to bring that. We can talk about it for that first half hour. So if you want to meet afterwards, we can go through and fine tune your design that you want to do for your email. So
Awesome. That's a
Yeah.
great topic. I mean, everyone should know how to do that in Command.
Yeah, I don't actually don't know how to do it.
You should.
I should go to class.
Go at 2
I should go.
o'clock.
I should go.
Right.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow night, Tanya is hosting a career night. So if you do know anyone getting into real estate or thinking about it or curious about it, you can send them in 6 to 7 here in the office. Career night. Okay, family reunion is coming up in about a month and registration's still open. We will have a dinner for all of our agents that are going, and the agenda, if you go to the family reunion website, the full agenda and the breakouts and everything are up. So if you're curious or on the fence, you can check out a little more detail now about that event, or ask anyone that's going or that's gone in the past. Questions about that? Yeah.
The event that we're having for all of our agents that are going.
Yes.
I booked those reservations at Rise Rooftop Bar.
Yes.
Across the street from the park from 7 o'clock to 10. We'll probably stay longer, but.
Tanya is our director of entertainment and restauranting.
No.
Yes, rooftop bar should be warm, restaurant bar.
Should be.
Yes, and reach out with questions if you're curious, because there are so many breakouts. It was really cool to see the list of breakouts. There are so many good ones, and it really covers the gamut of like mindset, personal wealth building and investing, commercial, luxury, a lot of like marketing and social media, tech. I mean, whatever direction you're trying to go with your business, there should be.
Yeah, and if you've never been before, like the breakouts are taught by other agents in the country. And they bring their ideas, and it's just a wealth of different information. Like, how are they doing it in Florida or New York City or in, middle of the night?
Right.
Yeah, in the
And
Rust Belt. I mean,
It's
I don't-
really inspiring just to hear what some of these like really successful agents are doing and how they started that, right? Like some of them
Yep.
just implemented something recently and it's going crazy.
Mhm.
So video and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So,
Good stuff.
okay, cool. Next thing is, we have who's eligible so far. So we have a contest for January and February to get the year going. If you get a listing active in the MLS, or for commercial brokers, just tell Austin because yours might not be in the MLS. But if you get a listing active by the end of February, you're going to be invited to an exclusive event at Aloro Vineyard, and they have a beautiful inside room. So it'll be nice even if the weather's not great, so we can do that in March. And we're figuring out if there's people that have more than one listing, if there'll be like some additional things. But look at all those people already who qualify. Daryl, Kelly, Jana, Pam, Mark, Bradley, Cricket, Josh, Julie, Marcella, Linda, Dwight, Stacy, Lara, John, and Paywan. So awesome, guys. Way to get the year off.
Yeah.
All right.
Get out there.
Yes, I love it. Yes, Julie. Awesome. Okay, next announcement. Coming up so fast. February seemed far away, but it is not. The award ceremony, Thursday, February 9th, 10 to 12 at the Tualatin Country Club. Please RSVP because we do need to have account for like food and everything. And it'll be a big fun breakfast, coffee, mimosas, a celebration for you and all of your guys' hard work in 2022. So definitely not one to miss.
It was really fun last year.
It's fun.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
fun.
really
And
fun.
it's so great to celebrate
Yeah, get everybody
you
together.
guys, right? Last year it was still kind of like a little COVID-y
Mhm.
and we still had a good turnout. So
Yeah.
hopefully like this year,
Mhm.
it was just a little
I think it was
COVID
the first big event they had, like.
Yes, it was.
post-COVID.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody got COVID from the event.
No,
Yeah.
I'm definitely, most certainly not.
Oh,
Yes,
Oh.
yes. Wait, let me say that because that was a clarification thing that last year some people thought, oh, well, I wasn't getting an award, so I didn't go, like some of our newer agents. No, it's for everyone to celebrate everyone's success.
Yeah.
So
It's really fun.
thank you for calling that out.
And the food's good.
Yeah,
The
good
food's good.
breakfast. All right. And then
Mimosas were good.
mimosas are good. Breakfast is good. Yeah, we got like waffles and some fancy eggs, all kinds of good stuff.
Fancy eggs.
Some fancy eggs, like real breakfast, not just like muffins or something. Okay, and then if you've ever listened to the Think Like a CEO podcast, hosted by Gary Keller and Jay Papazan, the authors of MREA and Shift and The One Thing. So they have a podcast, and season 6 just came out this week, the first episode. So there's a new season, and specifically talking about what's going on in the market and business. So great one to check out if you have not yet. So it's called Think Like a CEO, and episode 1 of season 6.
Obviously, Gary's super smart, but Jay Papazan is awesome. I like really pay attention when he speaks.
Yes. Yeah, he is great. Okay. All right, that's it for updates. So now let's get to our meat of the day. And we are going to have a panel of some of our agents, Alex, Mark, and Marcella. Come on up. And today we're going to talk about, as you know, the time on market has increased for listings. We're going to talk about that.
You're in the middle, you're best.
Here, we'll scooch over a little.
You like the middle?
I think you should take the middle.
All right.
As we talk about, or as listings are on the market more for more days, there's a couple of things that come along with that, right? Like the communication with your clients is going to be different. And also, like, what are you doing during that time? How can you use that, the longer days on market, to your advantage? So let's start by just asking you guys, what does that communication look like? And we'll start with you, Alex, or with your clients now that things are on the market longer. Like, how does that cadence go?
Yeah, well, there's certainly more of it. We have a program where we're updating sellers on a weekly basis. We call it, I call it our Tuesday listing updates, and I make the calls on Mondays only because I'm impatient. Won't wait till Tuesday. So we're on the phone with the seller weekly. In addition to that, obviously they're getting automated communication through Command or whatever CRM platform you use, showing feedback, etc. So communication has definitely increased.
And tell us more about that. Is it like, are you sending the showing feedback as it comes in, or are you waiting for like a weekly summary email? What does that exactly look like?
Yeah, right now we are using the Showing Time app and program to schedule showings, and we have invested in their monthly subscription to acquire feedback from showings, and that just sends it direct. You can set it up so that it sends directly to the seller. So it's all automated for it.
It's automated.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like getting feedback from one of my, at least my experience in the past, was like such a big part of what your clients wanted, because as time on market drags on, they start wondering what it is everybody thinks about their house. And it's really valuable to get feedback that you're not always giving. There's a different voice, maybe echoing what you're saying. But like, I've always thought it's hard to get the feedback from other agents. And like, how do you address that? Do you like, are you like, wait, you're not getting the return, like the response you want on Showing Time? Are you calling the agents yourselves, or what are you doing?
Yeah, well, again, due to impatience, if a couple days has gone by and someone hasn't provided the feedback, I start hounding them via phone. And I guess our conversion rate on obtaining feedback is probably somewhere between 90-95%.
Oh, that's good.
We get a lot of feedback.
That's great.
I think it's kind of evident after a couple phone calls and text messages from me to those agents that I'm not going to stop until you give me something. So just give me an answer, and then we can be done with that.
So are you all using Showing Time to set up the showing? No,
Not always,
not always.
but doesn't really like Showing Time that
Yeah.
much, just because he likes to have a lot, depending on the listing, connection with whoever's gonna be showing it a lot of the time. So we'll do it on certain properties, but on a lot of them, he likes to have them have to call us or text us, and just, on certain properties, you want to have a conversation with someone beforehand and warn them of certain things, or highlight
Mhm.
certain things, so.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
We
Plant a little
do-
seed.
We don't use showing time probably as much as.
Yeah.
I think most people do.
I think showing time was really important last year when the market was so hot. Like you just couldn't keep up with the showing traffic. Or if you have a lot of listings, it can be really hard to keep up with the showing traffic. But I always like to have a text system, kind of probably what you guys do, because I'm not good. I was never good at that, maintaining that weekly follow-up call. So if I was always in contact with my clients, setting up showings and giving them feedback, that was like, it made me feel like I was providing better service, because I wasn't good like you are about like being strict about calling them on Tuesday but on Monday.
Mhm.
When you don't have anything to say, it's a lot harder. to pick up the
Yeah,
phone.
it's a tough
Yeah.
call.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm
So
not-
tell us more about that. What are you saying on those weekly calls?
Well, I'm reporting what has happened the last week. How many showings we've had, what, an overview of what the feedback was. Asking them if their situation has changed at all, looking for a easy path to a price reduction.
Mhm.
Looking for anxiety. Also obviously asking for referrals, assuming that they see clearly that we're providing the best service that we possibly
Mhm.
can at that time.
Okay. And then what about you guys? What does your cadence look like when house is on the market for multiple weeks? What does your communication look like, Mark, overall?
Actually, my communication is similar to Alex, only I'm a Wednesday call, not a Tuesday or a Monday. And the reason I do Wednesdays, and I start this during the listing presentation, is I make a promise to the seller, is I will be in touch with them every week, Wednesdays. Typically by phone, although if they prefer text or email, but we start with phone because I want to overwhelm them. And then later they say, yeah, that's enough. Thank you.
Mhm.
Obviously, if the house doesn't sell in the first week, then I'm going to be in touch with them. If it sells in the first week, those phone calls are simply to update where we are in the transaction. But the reason I do that is I actually, as we go to market, I will identify a set of what I call the competition. These are the homes that the same buyer for your house could consider. And every week I will check in on those listings, even if it's just a list of those, and I go through and look at the status. And I'll go through and try and call the agents, not every week, but as many as I can, see if there's a change. I want to know how their showing habits, how many showings are they having? How is their open house? Because if there are change in the market in that price range, in that neighborhood, if I can communicate that to my seller on Wednesday and said, hey, here's the 7 homes we've been watching. 2 of them went pending this week. We were one of the
Yours
others
didn't.
that didn't.
Mhm.
Maybe what can we do next week to be the next home that goes pending?
Mhm.
So I keep an eye on the competition and I communicate that with the sellers every week.
Mhm.
It gives them an experience in real time about what is going on
Great.
in the market in their neighborhood. That forms the basis. Again, by week 5 or 6 or 7, as we go to slow down, they may say, just email it to me. Fine, I'll put it in an email. It saves a phone call. Frankly, it's a little easier for me time-wise.
Right.
But
Mhm.
I call block for those seller phone calls on Wednesdays, because if it's gone, if it's anything like the structure that we've had in the last 2 years where offers due by Sunday,
Yeah.
decision made by Monday night, by Tuesday, the status will change and I can report that to a seller on Wednesday. That's why I choose Wednesdays.
Mhm. And Marcella, tell everyone about like the emails you send out with like the views and everything, and like what else you're doing to communicate
Yeah.
the listings.
We haven't had to do that as much, obviously, in the
right.
last couple of years, but coming back to it, we pay a lot of attention to online views. So, what's the view count on Zillow? How many saves are you getting? We used to have a subscription with the photographer we used before we switched to Virtuance. Virtuance had the same program. They've gone away with it. So we're kind of figuring out how to go about the same data, but showing your photo view count, your virtual tour count, from the MLS and where people are looking at your photos,
Mhm.
just to show, okay, we've had 20 people this week, because it was weekly. It would send you out, okay, in the last week, you've had X amount of people look through this tour or whatever.
Mhm.
Just kind of an email showing all that, okay, this is who's looking at your stuff online, or this, how many people are looking at you online. This is what's, your photo view count. Here's the showings, how many showings, how much feedback we've gotten. We've had open houses. We had this many people through, just a full like recap. We used to do it probably weekly, getting back into that, probably now, but with that also, we will look back at, okay, these were the listings we had in the CMA that were active and pending, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it's taking. Okay, how many of these have gone pending? If it's 2 months, we'll pull up the Altos reports again and say, okay, here's an update of we'll save a copy of the Altos report that we took to the CMA. And then we'll do a refreshed one. Okay, this has changed a little bit. You can see, you know, because the Altos report has all the data about days on market and all the trends. So, you know, have those trends changed at all in the last 2 months, 90 days, whatever.
That's great. And then when you send that email, that's all data that then when you need to go back for a price reduction,
Yeah.
it's harder to argue
Yeah,
all that
you've got
data,
it there in
right?
front of us.
Okay, so view counts, activity comps, showing feedback. Is there anything else you update them on throughout the listing?
Like you guys go to your marketing, I mean, your listing appointment and you lay out your marketing plan. Like, are you updating them as you implement the plan? Or are they just seeing it? Like, is that part of your process?
We'll update them or we'll do, so, you know, depending on if it's a luxury listing, we do Luxury Home Magazine. For a long time, we did Lake Oswego and Westland review ads. And so we'll send them, you know, if we ran them in luxury homes, we send a letter that says, hey, just wanted you to see you were featured in this magazine. We send a copy of, what is it? It's, you know, shows how many subscribers are online with Luxury Home, how many homes does this get mailed to, you know, office spaces. We send the little recap that Luxury Home provides to say, this is how many people are going to have an opportunity to view your home just in this magazine, plus online, plus Luxury Home has an Instagram and a Facebook page, and they'll share it on there. And so if we see one of our listings is shared, we make sure to share that on social media. So we update clients on, you know, or we sent out postcards. Okay, well, it's been 90 days. Let's figure out a way to remarket that and send out new postcards to people and maybe pick a new group of people to send it to. So I think we do an okay job keeping people up to date on what we've done.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point, postcards, right? So when everything's selling so fast, you barely had a chance to send postcards, right? So let's talk about the advantages of these longer listings as far as using it to your marketing advantage. So let's continue with that, Marcel. What kind of postcards, and how are you picking up new clients from that?
Good question.
Mhm.
Dwight is like the postcard. He loves postcards.
Yeah.
So we do them, we send them, and we do get calls on them, or we have people, you know, even if it's like 9 months later, that'll be like, well, I saw this postcard. I held on to it in my mail drawer or whatever. You know, we've had calls like that, but we just try and change it up. So if you change the price, we're sending out, price improved or new, better price, whatever. Try and change up the verbiage, change up the photos you used. You know, sometimes if it's been on the market a long time, we'll redo the photos.
Yeah.
We'll change out some paint, whatever. We'll make whatever changes we can, change out furniture, do new photos. We can send those out and just make it look like it's a new listing. So I think, you know, changing up the verbiage you use and making it look fresh, even when it's not.
Yeah. Mark, what kind of marketing are you doing to help you pick up additional clients throughout that listing now? Or have you gotten to that yet? Because the market's still.
Back in the day,
Yes.
I've always believed in marketing, and I'm getting back to the marketing platform that we used to use before. And for me, that is a takeaway book. We called it a super flyer. It's a 12 to 20 page book at the house. It's not a single page flyer. It's not just a bifold flyer. Yes, they cost me $8 to $10 a piece, but I want that buyer to take it away because they go home and show that to their partner, husband, boyfriend, spouse, girlfriend, whatever, wife. They look at that and they go, wow, this is marketing. They're not going to throw it away because it's, somebody, you know, yes, I spent $10 for that booklet. They're going to take it home. It may be the neighbors who are going through the first open house, seeing how I'm going to market that home. That book stands out.
Absolutely.
And they're going to hold on to it. And 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, I'll get the phone. You sold my neighbor's house. Wow.
Yeah, I have a story about that. I started doing that like in early 2000. I would have every photo that was published. I've had that in the book. I'd have the school information. I'd have plat maps. I'd have anything I could just find. I just stuff it in the book and a little hardback, like a little pinch bind or one of the little teeth binders. And every buyer that came to one of my listings, they would leave with one of these books. And I was at something earlier late last year, and an agent who this was 20 years ago, an agent who I'd given it to, she says, you had those little takeaway home books. And she remembered it from 20 years. That's how she remembered me. I just thought it was like really powerful. It's like like the takeaway is such a big thing, and you don't know the impression you're making on somebody when they do it. I mean, and it's not, they're not that, I mean, you can do them on the cheap too.
You
don't have to-
can't.
Yeah,
I like the guilt factor because we
Yeah.
don't want to throw it away. They want
exactly,
to
right?
recycle. Oh no, someone
Absolutely.
spent
Good
money on
point.
it. I can't throw it away.
Good point.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Have it stick around.
Yeah.
And it
it's a really good
works.
point. It's a really good point.
Right, and if you're looking for an agent to potentially list your house, you're gonna see like a cheap flyer, just like,
They
you
don't
know,
stay
with a
around.
little info.
Yeah.
Or like something beautiful that you're like, oh, wow, they're gonna do this for my house, this is
Mhm.
beautiful, so
Mhm.
that's great. Okay, Alex, what about you? What do you guys do? You guys do a good home marketing thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've just listed postcards,
Mhm.
to the neighborhood. We are circle prospecting, email blast to our database. In addition to that, we love super flyers too.
Mhm.
If someone takes a super flyer, they're keeping it, as Mark indicated. And generally, if a buyer doesn't like the house, they're not taking one because they
Yeah.
feel guilty about
Yeah,
taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to those aspects, we're also doing 2D floor plans
Mhm.
Cool.
and the Matterports, right? The 3D, the Google Street View, but inside the house.
Mhm.
Search engine optimization is a big piece that pushes it out to roughly 200,000 websites worldwide. And we see a lot of view counts as a result of the SEO company we partnered with.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And, okay, so for those like super booklets of like all the pictures, is there a certain price point of a house you guys do that at? Or is it all of your listings, no matter what, or how do you decide?
I do it for all my listings.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't have the time to do it. In the last couple of years, we haven't for a $450,000 or $500,000 home in Milwaukee. I don't have the time to put together a 12-page flyer, even though they're templated. Because it's going to be sold in the first weekend. But I'd like to think I can. I have the capability. I have the template. I can just drop the pictures right into and write some copy and send it off to the printer.
Mhm.
But I make it available for all my listings at all price range. It's not just above 800 or above $1 million.
Mhm.
It also, my clients feel that they're getting concierge treatment at all price ranges, not just,
Mhm.
well, I'm not in the $1 million club, therefore I'm not getting your full marketing. Therefore, I'm going to go consider another agent.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
That's how I justify my compensation.
What about you, Alex?
Yeah, we've offered it to everyone that we work
Mhm.
with as well. If I'm being honest, we're considering making the change.
Mhm.
Based on the market changes that we've had recently, but I think there's real benefit to offering it to everyone. We tell sellers that, it doesn't matter the price point that we're working in or that your home's worth. We think everyone is due our best effort, and this is our best effort, and that's been quite successful in being able to convert the seller leads. Additionally, when it comes time to talking about commissions, and someone wants to try and beat us up on commission, it's a lot easier to say, okay, well, which marketing piece would you like to remove in order for us to be able to reduce the commission? We're open to it, sure, we'll be
Mhm.
flexible, but tell me which they obviously don't want to remove this fantastic super brochure,
Mhm.
and they don't want to get rid of the search engine optimization that pushes it out worldwide. So they might want to get rid of the postcards, but then we're able to say, like, postcards are a couple $100, so that's not really going to do the trick.
Mhm.
It helps maintain the full commission.
That's cool. What are you guys doing? What kind of marketing are you doing at the sign? So like, I used to not be a big like, oh, the sign's so important guy, but I had a listing at the corner of South Shore and Lakeview one time, and we weren't getting showings. We put a sign up, and then all of a sudden we got showings. It was the weirdest thing. And that's this era of internet. It's like, what people are finding this online? How come they're not? But somehow putting the sign up like really increased traffic, and it really made me a believer in not just a real estate sign, but what you can do with it. Like, what kind of advertising are you guys doing at the sign?
If I put the sign writer up that says 6-car garage, I get phone calls.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because-
I've seen it on Carmen.
Carmen.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly, especially if it's a high traffic road like Carmen, put up a sign. If you don't have a 6-car garage, that's fine. Go hang up one of the signs that we've made up for Keller Mortgage. No lender fees, ask me how. Someone's gonna call on that. It gets attention.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing like perma flyers or paper flyers? Or
Perma
no?
flyers, I
Perma.
haven't done a paper flyer for
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing the Keller Mortgage
We,
writer?
we love the Keller Mortgage writer. We get calls from consumers about it, but
Wait, tell everyone about it.
yeah, so I think the writer sign that we have says no lender fees, save thousands.
That's it.
And although we'll get calls from neighbors or consumers, I think most of the calls that we get are from the buyer's agents showing.
Mhm.
And gives us the opportunity to talk about Keller Mortgage and the specific benefits that Keller Mortgage has in saving their clients thousands of dollars, which makes the buyer agent look like a real hero.
Mhm.
Sets our listing apart from maybe something else they might be looking at later in the day. As well as it kind of sets a tone of, hey, don't just ask for $10,000 credit, because we're not going to just give you $10,000 when there's a bucket of money sitting over here.
Mhm.
It's readily available for your client to take advantage of.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about open houses. So, when listings are on for like multiple weeks or months, what does that look like, Marcella?
We haven't done a lot of open houses lately. We
Yeah.
have
Now,
to.
I know, we're like going, that's why we're having this, because it's like, we have to kind of like revert back,
Mhm.
or some of our newer agents have only been selling in
Yeah.
this crazy market. Like, wait a minute, what do you do when a listing's on the market for this long, you know?
Yeah, well, we still offer open houses. I mean, if they
Mhm.
want them, we'll do them. And of course, we have so many agents here that'll do them for us or do them with me if somebody wants to, hasn't done an open house before. And so I would say, gosh, it just depends. I mean, we can send out postcards about an open house. You can turn off the neighborhood about an open house. If you have a new agent who wants to meet people, help them make a flyer, help them make a door hanger for them
Mhm.
to go knock the neighborhood and, meet people, whatever. It just depends. I mean, I personally don't like to knock on doors and walk
Mhm.
around when it's rainy, but in the summer, I'm a lot more open to
Mhm.
saying hi to neighbors and telling them we have something going on. So you can even, put a flyer on their door, whatever, that just says, we're gonna have a neighborhood exclusive open house, why don't you guys come check it out? Let's talk about what's going on in your neighborhood.
The best
I
open
don't know,
house
you just
ever,
have to get creative.
yeah, the best open house I ever did was I had a listing over in Eastmoreland, and people just bought it like 4 months before, and then they need to move out. So they were in a kind of a tight spot. And so I did like a Thursday night open, and I sent, I don't know, 100 postcards out or invites. Like I actually like an invitation, made it like an event, and I got like champagne and cookies and all this sort of stuff. But I had like 30 neighbors come through. I mean, it was a really, really well attended. I mean, it's Eastmoreland, so everybody's in everybody's business there anyways, but like,
Yeah.
it was so well attended. Like I would do it in every single listing I had going forward, just because for me, like listing traffic, like having the neighbors come through, I would prefer neighbors come through than buyers come through, because I like listings. So
And it's easy to do
Yeah.
in a neighborhood, like we've done that in Barrington Heights, where
Yeah.
we've got a cool one coming on, let's
Mhm.
say, was kind of before people were so
Mhm.
sticky about, marketing it before it was technically listed,
Yeah.
but we used to do sometimes like, oh, Thursday night, neighborhood only,
Yeah.
exclusive open, go drop off an invitation and have, Nicolettas and
Oh, fun.
wine and
Yeah.
whatever, and just let people come walk through and give us their thoughts,
Mhm.
so. And then, yeah, it's one more reason for the neighbors to remember you.
Yeah.
Have flyers there with your super flyers, we do a flyer with a really extensive like feature sheet on the back, so
Mhm.
people leave with kind of a room by room description of
Mhm.
the house, and so having those available for people up front, I think
it's
is
cool.
helpful.
Mhm.
cool.
What about you, Mark? How are you managing like open houses if a listing is on for a lot of weeks? Are you doing open houses every weekend? How does that all look like?
I create opportunities for agents to hold open houses at my listings.
I love that.
That's my way of saying, I don't do open houses
Mhm.
because I do a car show every Saturday that pretty much takes about 6 hours of my day. So I'm already have meetings all day
Mhm.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I create opportunities for other agents to do those open houses. Now, that said, there will be those unique homes where I will be there. And I like to be there at the first. If I do one open house, because I want to meet the neighbors with that super flyer and have a face-to-face with them. So if I do an open house, I'll be there for the first, but then after that, I will make it available for other agents who have those opportunities.
Mhm.
I do think open houses are important now. So how many buyers call you and say, hey, I looked at this house this weekend, write an offer. And you go, you're looking at houses? I didn't realize you were looking. Oh yeah, I saw this open house. Wonderful, great. I'll write it up. So buyers, obviously, even when they're working with an agent, are still going to open houses, no question about that. I have found, and I've always embraced since we had the first 2 Matterport cameras in Portland, I believe in Matterport 3D tours. Because I want those buyers to virtually walk through the house and know what to expect. Once they do that, I also advise the seller to make sure that the front doorknob is tight and doesn't fall off in their hand or wiggle. Because as soon as they make contact with the house and they've seen the video on Matterport, it affirms what they've already known. They know where the kitchen is, they know where the bedroom is, they know where the stairs and bonus room. It helps calibrate their expectations. And when they show up, they're ready. So I prefer Matterport with every listing, enhanced with an open house for the sake of the neighbors with the super flyers, and then lots of opportunities for other agents.
Yeah. Okay. So Matterports, during COVID, everyone was doing Matterports. Are you guys still doing Matterports? Okay. Are you guys still doing Matterports?
We are doing Matterports.
Okay. For every listing?
I mean,
Or
if
almost
if
every?
you have a 300 square foot condo downtown,
Right.
no, but yeah,
Yeah.
mostly every listing.
Okay. And then are you doing those floor plans? Same thing?
2D
for
floor
almost-
plans, yeah, it's set up to be attractive to a different personality type. If you have an engineer, they're gonna hate a Matterport. Your wife or husband might like the Matterport, but the engineer's gonna really prefer the 2D floor plan.
Yeah, that's smart. Thinking about different.
And this goes back to like when virtual tours were clunky and weird, but the traffic, the attention that a listing gets when it does have a virtual tour or Matterport tour is much more than what you get without. It's like all the statistics are like through the roof, like it's double the traffic.
Look at that.
Online traffic, yeah.
I love it. And then Alex, tell us about your guys' open house
Yeah,
strategy.
we like open houses. I believe the success of an open house is not the 3 hours or 2 hours that we're spending there. I don't remember if it's shift or MREA, one thing that talks about the 7th level open house. We try our best to hit the 7th level open house. I mean, it takes a week of planning, maybe a little longer, so you got to be out in front of it. But that's where the payoff is the prep work, the door knocking, and the inviting the neighbors, and the circle prospecting for the open house. That's where you're making connections and building rapport with neighbors and in the community.
That's great. And if you don't know what the 7th level open house, I can't remember if it's shift or MREA either
I can't
now.
remember. You can Google it.
Right, but it's all the different things you're doing before the open house. And you can use that in your marketing presentation to say, like, I'm not just showing up with some signs, like this is the whole picture. So that's great. It's hard. It's not like easy, right? When
It
you
is
look
hard.
it all up, it's all the different things you have to do ahead of time. But then you're really using that for a marketing piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it sets if you're going into a listing appointment and it's competitive, and it's competitive, you can talk about open houses from the perspective of, look, this is what a typical agent does. They put out a couple A-frame signs and they sit in your home while you're inconvenienced and have to sit at a Starbucks for 3 hours, versus what we're going to do. And this is a week and a half, 2 weeks preparation for an event. And you go through the details, and it just sounds different. And it shows the level of professionalism that you have and the courtesy of understanding, I guess, the importance of this home sale to the seller.
A question, this is a little bit off the bit, we're talking about marketing. When you're writing ad copy for the RMLS, like, do you spend a lot of time on it? Do you just like have like a blueprint that you kind of plug in every single time? Do you really think it's powerful? Like, or are you just doing it to appease the client? Like, what's your take on ad copy and what you write? You've got 440 characters.
We spend time on it.
You spend time on it.
We're really, really specific about the house, and not just, or especially if you have a house, there's not really a lot to say. There's not a lot of, fancy upgrades, anything like that. What's around, what's in the area, how close are you to the freeway, whatever. Just, we max out the ad copy as often as we can, and I write it. Dwight will take a look. If he has any thoughts, whatever, we'll make adjustments. But, it's as much about the house as it is about the neighborhood, as it is about the neighbor's houses and what you can pull from. Okay, they added this about the pool. Well, I didn't know that. My client didn't tell me that. We need to add this in. So it's important. I think it's important to spend time and really pay attention to what's going on, what's gone on around you, and
Not just saying all the other details that are
not
already
just saying,
there.
oh, there's granite and there's this. Well, there's also a pool and you're 2 minutes to Starbucks and 3 minutes to the freeway and whatever. It's important to kind of set up a full picture for people, I think.
What about you guys?
I wish I were a copywriter.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Not paid copywriters. They're not any
I'm
good.
looking forward to Chat GPT or GTP, the AI.
Yeah, look at that.
Right, that
Yeah.
would be wonderful.
Yeah.
What I've learned in the past is I actually have a three-part strategy for comments. One is in the public comments, the other is private comments, and the third is the attached documents to listings.
Mhm.
And that's my secret weapon, is that attached
Yeah.
documents. The public comments, the intent is to paint a picture of what they're going to expect. I'm not a flowery person. I struggle with that. The private comments are for an agent. And if there are specific bullet points I want that agent to know, I'll put them in there bluntly, just because I want a quick takeaway, boom, 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 boom. I may, and most of my listings, I will put up an additional document that has those additional features, details, so forth. At one of my listings, it talks about the solar panels. You're 12 years into a 20-year lease on solar panels. Most of them just go, solar panels, what's that? Is that a leak? Does that mean the roof's going to leak because of the mounting? Well, I want to have some information.
Yeah.
So I will make sure that the agent, in the agent comments, says, see solar panel attached document. So they know I'm giving them the breadcrumb to go look at the documents. Well, I also, I will upload property features. I will upload unique features about the solar or the shop or some other aspect about it. But I also watch who's accessing those documents, because that gives me a reverse prospecting list. I can now go see what agents have looked at the documents with that listing. Are they looking because they're going to have another listing in the neighborhood? Are they looking because they're looking for information on it? It gives me a chance to reach out to them, much as you would reach out instead of showing time.
Mhm.
I'm doing the same thing. Hi, this is Mark McKellar Williams. I have that listing on Carmen Drive. I noticed that you accessed the shop details page. Are there any questions that you or your client have that I can help answer for you?
I like to use those two for when someone sets up a showing.
Mhm.
If you've got the time to check and say, okay, they've set up showing for me, they haven't looked at the feature sheet, the flyer,
Yeah.
any of the details in advance, we'll
Mhm.
take an opportunity to send it to them. Hey, just wanted to make sure you saw this, have these available for
That's
you
great.
and your clients, you know, any
Mm.
questions before you get there. 'Cause it's a good way to
That's good stuff.
make sure that they're paying attention too. A lot of time people are going in and setting up a showing and not
Mhm.
paying attention, and you want them to know the details,
Mhm.
you know, before they get there, so they can highlight them and try and sell your listing.
Exactly. If you make the buyer's agent look like a rock star, you're already one step closer to a more successful transaction. Why not educate them? They can convey the knowledge that you've given to the agent, they give to their buyer. It just gets them tighter bound to the property.
Yeah, you can't assume that the buyer's agents are being thorough at all.
Yeah.
I went to a listing yesterday where the buyer's agent called me before and said, hey, my client has questions about the shop. Could the seller be there? And I said, no, the seller's out of town, but I could be available. And he said, oh, okay. So I showed up half an hour in the listing presentation. The buyer's agent left 10 minutes after I arrived and left me there with his client.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
You get a buyer broker agreement?
I'll let you read into that what you want. I kind of went, huh, I guess as a buyer's agent, all you do is open doors.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say what company.
Mhm.
Not
Not,
one
it
of
was
our
not one of
agents,
our.
no. But I did have a wonderful 45-minute chat with the buyer afterwards
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's fine.
about the shop and other details. So
Okay, so on that note, being able to, show your value to your clients. So when that's a benefit of having this longer listing cycle is the client, your clients are actually feeling your value more, right? How are you building your relationships with your clients over that time? Are there any other benefits of like the longer listing cycle? Other than just not so much chaos?
Well, I think that's why phone calls are really important. Yeah, I mean, we email, Melissa emails on a weekly basis. The stats, here's how many people saw the home, and here's how many people came through the open house, and here's an Altos report updated on a weekly basis. But the phone call is really where you're nurturing the relationship and building continued rapport, so that you get that raving review at the end of the process, and you're able to confidently ask for referrals. So I think the phone calls are priceless.
That's great. That's such a good point. I mean, when the house just basically sells like it would have before, right? You're not really providing as much value. So this is a great opportunity. How else are you building those relationships with your clients throughout
I would say what he said, exactly. I make that Wednesday call. I call until they tell me to send it an email, but I will still stay in touch with them. It's about communication. The more informed that my clients are, the more confident they are in the decisions they make. And afterwards that I can remind them and say, I can ask them a loaded question. Did you find our weekly phone calls to be helpful during the listing? Yes. Did I share information that was useful to you? Yes. Are you prepared to write a 5-star review? Yes. Wonderful. We're good.
Yeah. Do you all ask for a review and or referrals at the end?
Yeah.
So you do.
Absolutely.
Marcella, what does that look like for you guys?
Just, I mean, it depends on.
The experience.
Depends on the experience, definitely, and the vibe you get from people but yeah, we tend to ask for a review, and we used to send out like hey, if you do a review here, we'll send you this. If you do one here, we'll send you this. We haven't done that in a while. But just, sending them, even if it's a link to, a Zillow link, say, hey, we'd really appreciate if you would just let us know how we did here. And, then you've got it, you've asked for it, but I don't personally ask for referrals. I guess I just haven't gotten there yet in my confidence. I'm sure Dwight does. I think it's just important. Like you guys said, it's all about communication and, learning the style of communication your client likes, whether it's text, call, email, whether it's talking to me, talking to Dwight, just really focusing on the person you're working with and, doing what makes the most sense for them.
That's great. You just made me think of another question that's a little off topic, but where do you guys get your reviews, right? Do you ask for like Zillow or Facebook or Google or all of them, or like, what does that look like?
On the reviews, we made the mistake of focusing for many years on obtaining Zillow reviews. And now looking back, to be honest, I regret having pointing people towards Zillow. Google reviews, I think, are much more powerful, and eventually, the way I see it, Zillow's going to shut it off, and those reviews are just going to disappear at some point. So we are making a concerted effort to build Google reviews as well as Facebook, but we have invested in a system that sends out a link and says, hey, thanks so much for working with the Clark Group. Please take a minute and click on one of these 5 stars. 5 stars is great, 1 star is bad. When they click on it, if it's a good score, 4 or 5, takes them to a new window in their browser and allows them to say, hey, you want to post a review on Facebook or Google. If it's a bad review, 3 or below, it says, hey, sorry you felt that way. Can you write, about how we could have improved? But it doesn't take them to a place to
Leave it. That's
put it.
smart.
Oh, that's smart.
So they feel like, hey, I really, I got them. I put this bad review in, and I'm not getting them, but it allows them the opportunity to vent if they wanted to, without making it public.
Right. Because a lot of people are going to Google you right before they maybe have a listing appointment with you. So like a couple bad reviews could really hurt you and hurt your business.
Yeah. I mean, every company has,
Everyone has,
regardless of industry, has, some negative Nancy or whatever the male form of that is, but bad reviews, and you should be responding to those in a professional manner. And it's just part of being in business.
and just get enough good ones so that people aren't.
Very.
What's one like tragic mistake that you guys would want people to avoid making with this prolonged listing time? Like, what's something you can really screw up on that could make it hard to get the listing sold or lose your client's trust?
Take an overpriced listing from the start. That's a problem.
That's good.
I think be honest with your seller, because if you don't have the courage to stand up to them now, how will you stand up in the heat of battle in 3 months and 4 months and you've had no showings and no offers? That's an uncomfortable conversation.
That is.
That's good advice. And you've spent money on photos and marketing.
I'd much rather be the second agent in the door on that overpriced listing, because chances are they've already been beaten up on price.
Yeah.
And yet I still teach myself that lesson about once a year.
Sure.
And I think just prepping, prep the people that are going to help you. If you have agents in the office that are showing open houses or doing open houses for you, or, sitting at inspections, meeting contractors, whatever it is, make sure they know what they're looking at, what they're showing. And, because there's nothing worse than we have some random agent showing, not that this happens here, but if you have a random agent holding an open house for you because no one on the team was available, and then a neighbor comes through or the seller sends a secret shopper, because when there's more time on the market, they send their family through to see what people are saying. I mean,
Mhm.
if someone's holding your open house and they don't know crap about the house or the neighborhood or whatever, nothing can make you look worse, I think. I mean, these are the
Right.
people that we prep people in a listing like, hey, Marcel is probably not gonna be at every open house. Dwight's not gonna be at any open house. But we have, 100 agents in our office that are willing to, they're vetted through us. We give them all the information. They're willing to sit here and tell people about your home. So making sure you're actually following through with that and prepping people. And, if it's a listing that I can sit through the first open house with someone and then they can do the one tomorrow or next week and they can do it twice, then,
Mhm.
why not take the time to make sure that they are selling it how you would sell it?
Yeah, that's a great, like, if there's a weird like fence or HOA thing or something, right? Like just addressing it
Yeah.
and making sure that the agents holding it open are aware.
Mhm.
Awesome. Any other things that you guys, mistakes that you would not make again?
Alex Clark doesn't make mistakes.
I
Yeah.
know.
Look at him.
It's like, no,
No,
Think of several. One thing regarding open houses, since we've spent a lot of time talking about that today, is I don't like doing open houses 2 days in a row and over the same weekend. Agents don't want to show it during an open house. And I feel like a realtor showing is exceptionally more valuable than some random person coming through or a neighbor coming through the open house. So if we're going to do an open house on a Sunday, we're not going to do one on Saturday.
Mhm.
And I would much prefer if we do one on Sunday, that next weekend there isn't one. I like to at least skip a weekend to give realtors the opportunity to show the home.
That's interesting.
yeah, that is,
I have one last secret weapon,
okay.
and this is old school. A few of us remember this, reverse prospecting in RMLS. How many of you are aware of that feature?
Oh, good.
How many of you used it?
Mhm.
You never know when you shake that tree where someone's going to come out of.
For the people who don't know or aren't using it, can you elaborate?
Sure. Reverse prospecting is an agent, any of us can set up an automated search in RMLS, and often they will go in and title it Rick and Judy's first house, Tom's garage, West Lynn. So they're just generic, but they're putting in searches in distinct areas to get results sent either to the client or to them. You can go in and use reverse prospecting and enter details about your listing and see which of those reverse searches it meets the criteria. Now you get the list of agents, you have to copy and paste all the emails, but I write up an email and say, hey, this is Mark from Keller Williams. I have a listing on this street in this neighborhood. It appears to match one of your prospecting profiles in RMLS. Have you seen the listing? Here's the link. Have you seen the attached document about the property features? It's attached to the email. Would you like more information about it? I'm happy to call you anytime. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. You just never know where about, because it might just be that agent's on vacation this week and they missed the email notification about that search. And suddenly, oh, yes, that would fit with Rick and Sally. And we want to go see the house.
And some agents don't set it up so that you're, like, when you send in those prospecting things, you can put CC me or whatever it is, copy me on the email. Some people don't do that. So their clients are getting it, but they're not getting it. If they're not paying attention to the list, then they have no idea, what their clients are even seeing. So I think if you set that up for your buyers, it's really important to copy yourself on the email so you know what's coming to them and, how often.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great points. You guys, thank you so much. This was really, oh, Peter, yes.
Actually, too, talking about the brochures, we do brochures and flyers. We put them side by side and we ask the seller to count them, the brochures, before every showing. And if a brochure disappears, we ask them to call us and let us know, because that gives us the opportunity to talk to somebody who apparently likes a home enough to take a $10 brochure instead of a 50-cent flyer.
That's cool.
That's
Good point.
good. That's good.
So that engages the seller, and that's part of our listing presentation. The other thing I'll mention for open houses that I don't see anymore is that when I do them, which is once every 10 years, I produce a list of all the other open houses and active listings in the neighborhood with street addresses and my contact or our contact information on the bottom. And if somebody says, well, this isn't for us, I go, well, here's some other homes in the area that are available. These are open today. Go take a look. If you're interested, give me a call. And believe it or not, last time I did that, 15 minutes after this, 2 couples left, I got a call from an agent saying their client had visited my open house and they really seemed to like it. I thought I'd let you know. I didn't know who they were, which of the 2 people that just ended up being able to pull them in, because now you're not just selling a home, you're selling the neighborhood, whatever. So that kind of information will differentiate you and on your name and contact on it. It enhances your chances of pickup.
Otherwise known as an accidental buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Good work.
I have just 2 pieces of
Yeah.
advice. One is when it comes to listings and prolonged listing periods, do what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it. And if you can't, get ahead of it. Let them know that you're not doing it as opposed to them telling you you haven't done it. They'll go a lot further. And if your clients are calling you, and you guys all talked about this, but when your clients are calling you, that's bad. They should not be calling you. You should be calling them. So cut that off. Get ahead of that.
Right.
Anyways, thank you.
Don't
guys.
hide
Don't
under a
hide.
rock if your listing
Yeah.
is just sitting there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The phrase I take away at this point is, it's all about setting expectations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You start setting those expectations when you go on the listing appointment. And then it's your job to fulfill those expectations. If you're not going to fulfill them, don't set them.
Yeah,
Right. If you don't
exactly.
call, and if you don't call your clients for 3 or 4 weeks, and then the next time you do, you're like, we should probably do a price reduction. Like that's going to be not a lot worse of a conversation
It's a
than
hard
if you've
conversation.
set the table. So thank you for sharing this. I think
Good
it's
stuff.
really important to think about the positives of this kind of market and having listings on the market longer. There are a lot of positives for marketing reasons and showcasing your value. So thank you guys for sharing. And
Yeah,
thank
thank
you guys
you.
for the input. Have a great rest of your day.